evening, or good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I have a great, unbelievable story to tell you today. You see, I'm scrolling through the YouTube channels and YouTube comments, and this is a debate that I've been following. It's a debate between a random sword guy, which will go unnamed. I could be talking about anyone, versus a very popular sword channel and popular medieval channel, Shadiversity. Now, I've followed this little debate on for a little while. I'm not going to name names of who Shad's debating. But I am going to point out a hypocrisy of this random sword guy's followers, and also the random hypocrisy of the random sword guy himself. Now, first we're going to call out the commenter, called Asa Frog, over a small video that was called Beef. I'm not going to name the sword guy's channel. He's just a random sword guy I quoted. My quote for what upset this young man, or young woman, depending, was simply put, let's see what I said. I can't remember what I said, but it was something of this line in nature. Yes. Me watching both videos, fully understanding what was said, and knowing this is some high school drama type debate tactics. After all, people who don't practice the art shouldn't say anything about it. Some random sword guy I saw online. I was quoting a random sword guy. Wasn't quoting no one specific. But either way, I hope it works out. And we can all sit back and have a good laugh. And maybe a couple drinks. And of course, we have the ahem. The dongo rider. We'll call it the dongo rider. Coming in to be a white knight for the random sword guy, who will not be named because I could be talking about anyone. I simply said, why are you getting pissy? I could be talking about anyone. I'm just quoting some random guy off the internet. Now, this is where the hypocrisy kicks in. I am using the exact same debate tactics that the random sword guy used. Let that sit in. I think we all know what debate tactic this is. Oh, I'm not talking about you. It just has a lot of implications towards you. But if you get angry at me, I'm just going to say I wasn't talking about you, that you had a misunderstanding of what I was saying. Yeah, I think everybody who's heard the word Shadiversity knows what's going on here, and anyone who has a brain, or any form of brain cells, or any basic grasp of the English language can understand the implications and the insinuations that were made by this random sword guy. After all, he's definitely tried to post himself as an authority because he practices HEMA. I'm going to go into a little bit of backstory here. Stay with me, we're on the same subject, but just a little bit of context. I've been practicing swordsmanship for 20 plus years. I have never been in a HEMA club, but I have practiced and studied forms of HEMA through manuals. When I started, I was using a machete at the age of 4. 2 machetes. I had no idea what I was doing. You know how I got better at it? I kept doing it, and practicing, and then reading, and then learning. I became very proficient, and had a very, what do you call, flared taste for knives. I grew a very fond taste for knives and knife combat. Personal favorite would be the karambit. Something this random sword guy has a serious beef against. Can you guess it? Can you guess it? I mean, what could it possibly be? Oh, it's reverse grip. Now, random sword guy put up a lot of good points. And with a sword, yeah, reverse grip doesn't really make that much sense in my opinion. It really doesn't. You can use it, but that's a whole different ballgame of dodging, dexterity. But you can use it. It doesn't make it useless. Maybe I did say it was useless. Yeah, what am I saying? I'm a hypocrite. But I want to notice something. Reverse grip is for knives. It's meant for knives. It's a trademark of knife combat, one of the karambit styles. And personally, I always loved the karambit because of the curved blade, the ring, so that way it doesn't fall in my hand. The ability to just grab them and pull them, but that's besides the point. I'm getting off track. This random sword guy, in his first video, made a lot of insinuations and innuendos, and along with implications towards Shadiversity's channel. And as you watch the full video, and those who have followed this debate, after all, I'm just a random no-life YouTuber who's only got like 80 subs. Who knows? I mean, probably might get a comment back, probably won't. Maybe get a video about me, I don't know, I don't care. The fact is, it was pretty obvious, using the same strategy I used earlier in this video that started about 6 minutes ago, was the double-bladed sword. And some channels will make this and not have an educated understanding of this, and they act as an authority. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's right, it's the random sword guy. Or something about giant swords, which is another reflection of Shad's channel. Now, I've been sitting back watching this, and honestly, it was even a debate between Shad and this random sword guy. It was a fucking slaughter. It was just slaughter. This guy did not know how to defend himself whatsoever. He posted another video saying he was talking about anime and appreciating the culture, yet nowhere in his video did he deny the fact that he was saying if you don't practice the art, you shouldn't talk about it. You are not an authority, and that we are armchair warriors. And we already know random sword guy probably didn't immediately know anything about sword and probably picked up a sword, started swinging and licking on the internet, probably got his fascination from some European anime, or maybe he picked up a HEMA book, or even better, found an old combat manual and looked at it and said, you know what, I'm gonna give that shit a try. And then a couple years later, guess what? He gets an ego. It's not pride, it's an ego. Pride means he's actually done something. Ego is just, I practice this, therefore I'm an expert. And I put this in a very dramatic sense. But this random sword guy, I'm going to keep focusing on random sword guy. If you turn this into a drink, you're going to probably regret life decisions. But back to the point. In his defense, did exactly what I did. I wasn't talking about you. Through his vague comments, I could be referring to anyone. You are misunderstanding my words. You're taking it out of context. How dare you use my own video to show hard evidence of my foul thuggery and my hypocrisy? That is exactly how it went down. You don't believe me? I'll leave a couple links to the Shad's videos. I'm not going to post the random sword guys. I don't want that guy on my fucking feed. If you want to find him, you already know who he is. If you followed this debate, you know who he is. But I'm not going to say it because I want to use the same defense he uses. Which is, I don't know. I could be talking about anyone. And note, we're going to bash him a little bit. From what I've seen on a lot of his videos, he uses a rapier and a longsword. I have yet to see him on any of his videos truly and properly utilize any other weapon. Man, that makes him a hell of an authority, doesn't it? You know what we call this? Gatekeeping. Now, why am I saying he's a gatekeeper? I know I'm all over the place, but if you follow what I'm saying, you get the point. How do I know he's a gatekeeper? Maybe he's spitting straight facts. Maybe he's like Odin from God of War. Ragnarok. Maybe he ain't really just dissing, he's just speaking the fact. Well, the problem is, he's guilty of the same shit. The same implications, the same accusations. He's a hypocrite. He's a massive hypocrite. And with his following, that actually is a problem. It is a huge problem. He has thousands of followers. A humongous impact on this community as a whole. And people believe his bullshit. Alright? So let's focus a little bit more. He practices two forms mainly, fencing and longsword. And he says he should be the expert on this, and his implications, this is what he's implied. He did not defend against this implication when it was called out. He simply tried to divert your eyes over here, like, hey, look at this hand, well, this hand does something over here. But again, Shad caught on to that and pretty much roasted his shit. And of course, then he made a rebuttal video saying, Shad does not want to do a talk with me because he doesn't have good faith. Yeah, bullshit. You just lied. He said he'd be happy to, as long as you would enact in good faith, Mr. Random Sword Guy. He straight out lied. And he puts himself as an authority. Let me give you a little history lesson. HEMA has been around for a few hundred years. Maybe a little longer. Or even a lot longer. I don't know this. But this is an educated estimation on what I think in confidence is what's true. And I'm sure someone in the comments will say, yeah, it's been around a long time, but I guarantee you 100% with the actual combat knowledge is that it has not been around as long as combat itself. HEMA is a sport. That is what it is. It's a point game. It's a point scoring sport. If you watch any fencing or longsword fights that involve HEMA, it's all about points. It's not about actual combat. Oh look, I poked you. I get a point. Then we have actual schools where you learn combat. Now I don't have gear. I am in fact missing a few teeth from not having protective gear, and I practiced with many of my friends and also other sword experts without safety gear, and we went in actual intensive sparring. We were going at each other. We weren't doing none of this. No, we were going at it, full intensity. And yes, we got hurt. We were injured. But this does give us the bragging right of every time we run across a Hemadork, because that's what it is, a Hemadork, and the whole community is just Hemadork. When they're put up against an actual opponent that intends to try and harm them, all of a sudden, they don't know what the fuck to do. Of course, they may have making videos like, oh, I would do this. But in reality, I doubt it. I have taken out a lot of Hemadorks. We have a Hema club in our town. Most of them fucking hate me because I've utterly just bitch slapped them with literally no Hema club experience. Does that make me a master? No. Does that make me an expert? No. Authority? No. I'm simply a man who enjoyed studying the art form and practicing the art form of sword and ancient weapon combat. My newest ventures, if you followed my channel, are the Nodachi, this big baby right here, which honestly looks kind of like a katana in my hand, and the rapier. Now, this random sword guy, I watch his content because he is very skilled in the rapier. He is skilled in the longsword, but that doesn't make him authority on everything else. And he is a gatekeeper. And referring to the point that I almost glossed over, actually I did gloss over, how do I know he's a gatekeeper? I've played Dungeons and Dragons for 20 fucking years. After 20 years of Dungeons and Dragons, you learn to spot the attitude of a gatekeeper. You know what, it's not my way, so you can't do it. It's not right. Oh, You haven't been in a club? That doesn't make you an expert. Sounds very familiar to the sword guy, doesn't it? Almost spot on to his voice, very nasally. Almost like you're rubbing your balls against glass. It really hurts your ears. Oh, I'm just waiting for the comments to finish. Next, this also points to a fact that I do practice kendo, but I'm not. Never been in a kendo club. I practice Iaido. I practice Totami, but I've never been in either of these clubs. Well, then how do I practice them? I watch YouTube. I buy manuals. I read said manuals. I practice the forms in those manuals. And how do I practice Totami without having a mat? I live in the woods. Do you understand how many fucking trees we got out back? Yeah, that's right. I cut down trees with swords. Typically in one swing. About this thick. If you understand anything about a tree about this thick, yeah, I know it's pretty girthy. They're thicker and harder to cut than a tatami mat. And I practice this because I like to look at the sword guy's video where he says, "Can you stop a full power swing?" Yes, this is full power. Oh yes, I am totally giving you full power and all my strength. And this is this really big guy, but in reality we both know it's not full power. This is just, look, I did it full power. Hand me a Scottish Claymore, and we could do a video on that. Just try to block me trying to swing at you with full force, absolute intent to hurt you, and see how it goes. I bet you won't say shit, because in reality, you ain't stopping it. Alright, the ideology. You're gonna stop, you're not. If I wind back and my 7'2" ass decides to throw all 340 pounds of my weight and strength and muscle, and if you've watched my videos, you know I'm strong as a fucking ox. I carried a tree to some pretty banger Viking music. I'm going to go through that fucking sword and smack you across the head. I'm not gonna break the sword. No, it's just gonna get moved out the way because I'm swinging with so much fucking force. And I'm gonna be swinging for the weak, not the strong. I'm gonna be aiming for the mid. That way, it does go through. This is standard knowledge. Of course, that's besides the point. I'm getting off track. But the point is, this person is dick riding a hypocrite. Say, I watched the entire fucking debate from start to finish, the post, the rebuttal, and then Shad's reply, and that was it. And then finally his bullshit lie, which was from the random sword guy. He doesn't want to do a stream with me in good faith. He doesn't want to do a call with bullshit. He literally said he would. You know why you don't want to hop on a call with the random sword guy? It's because he has utterly decimated you so bad in the debate that you are scared. You're making random videos to try to boost your ego, and I've watched you shadow block literal thousands of people who got on your ass for the shit you said. Because it's kind of strange that all you find on your channel's comments is people supporting you. But if you had been there beforehand, you would have watched all the people that didn't support you magically start disappearing out of the comment section. And yes, YouTubers have that ability to do that in their comment section if you didn't know. I can literally delete someone's comment and say it never happened. And that's what he does. I can't even post on his little shorts because often I spit facts at him and he doesn't like it. Now, is random sword guy a bad swordsman? Absolutely not. He is very skilled in the two arts that I have seen him practice. But is he an authority, master? Is he God? No. Watch who you want to watch. Learn what you need to learn. Practice, apply, improve. You don't need to be in a HEMA club to talk about swords. In fact, you can learn a lot about swords from YouTube. You can learn a lot about swords from anime. Because in some animes, they do use proper forms. And they mention and often reference actual teachings They do not practice it, but they reference it, and that allows you to search it up on the internet and look up manuals, transcripts, and perhaps classes if you want to spend money. To be said, oh, this is the way it is. My way is the right way. It is the 100% certified way. You want to win fight, you do as I say. Then you got the other guy saying the same thing. That's basically what Sword Guy does. And he's made quite a few videos about him sparring and practicing with the longsword. I wonder why. Is he threatened? Probably. I mean, having a Napoleon complex and all, I mean, he's only like 5'7", maybe 5'4". Don't get mad at me. Accept the facts. A hypocrite is someone that should not be listened to. And I mean that. When it comes to talking about any other type of form, or swordsmanship, or any form of combat, besides the two that this random sword guy practices, he should not be taken as an authority or a serious opinion. As he has shown and demonstrated to the entire YouTube community that he is simply a gatekeeper with an egotistical rampage. That's all he is. His ego is boosted by his followers. He only wants happy comments about him. He doesn't want to accept criticisms. That is not someone I want to listen to about all about swordsmanship. Now for fencing and longsword, sure I'll listen to him because he's skilled in that. But for everything else, hell no. I wouldn't believe a damn word that comes out of his mouth. Now Shad? Yeah, I'll listen to him. Because he's actually trying to implement and apply these strange and wacky techniques, and honestly, they are a joy to watch. Absolutely intriguing to watch. Absolutely baller. I loved his giant sword video. It showed the implications of how a giant sword could be used and the potential that it has. I loved the double sword video. And the random sword guy trying to make himself an authority on that. It's like, yeah, I'm doing all I can. Yeah, picking it over your head and trying to stab a motherfucker. Yeah, you're doing all that you can. Sure. Meanwhile, when we watch Shad, we get to see all these cool shit, all this cool stuff. And overall, Shad's much nicer. He's not being dramatic. He's just really just pointing it out. A guy came at him. He played the, oh, I wasn't talking about you card. I'm the victim. You're attacking me. Leave me alone. That's exactly what he did. That's what the sword guy did, pretty much. Literally, just watch. If you follow the bait, you already know. If you watch his whole videos, yeah, that's exactly what he did. And he lied about this Shad wanting to get on a stream with him. He straight out lied. So in all of hindsight, if you're going to comment or respond to someone using the same strategy as the person or the random sword guy you are dongo riding, why are you getting upset? I'm just doing what he did. Oh, he could do it, but no one else can? You see the hypocrisy? You see the idiocy? The redundancy of this incestual stupidity is astoundingly appalling. So, overall, that's the end of this video. Honestly, I have a high feeling that this will probably get taken down, but I doubt it because I'm not sponsored. I don't make any money off this. I don't get monetization off this. I'm not really breaking any real guidelines because I'm not mentioning who I'm bashing, so I can just play that card. And simply put, I'm not an authority on swords. I'm just simply a man who has enjoyed the sport. Well, not even the sport, the art, the combat, the journey. 20 plus years. And of course, you will see a few things on my channel. Whew. It's boring. Hiccups. You'll see a few things on my channel where I'm practicing Odachi. And I'm going on my journey. But I'm not going to stand idly by while a random short guy gatekeeps, lies, and acts like a hypocrite when he gets called out. Personally, I would just avoid him. That's my advice to you. You can take it or you can leave it. But that is my advice to you. Have a great night, have a great morning, whatever day time it is. Peace. It took a lot longer to get to the stop button than I thought.